Good morning and happy Monday. Happy second week of July. My name is Amy Kochek with Amy Kochek Creative, and this is Extraordinary Stories with Extraordinary People. If this is the first time that you've ever watched this show, Extraordinary Stories with Extraordinary People, I started this show because I am all things story related. I'm a ghostwriter, I'm an editor, I'm a coach, I'm a teacher. I believe that the most important thing that you possess, the most valuable asset that you have is your story. And through working with people, helping people write their stories, helping people refine their stories, helping people use their stories to find freedom and clarity and discovery, has led me down this path of just being very passionate about creating a platform where people can share their stories with one another. Because sometimes we get into these modes of thinking that we have to have some sort of sensationalized story in order for it to be valid, or unless a million people watch our story, it's not valid. But really, our story is valid if we're the only ones that hear it, if one person hears it, 10, 20, however many, our story is extremely valid and it's powerful. So I'm using my platform to highlight stories of some really extraordinary people, and it's allowed me to meet some phenomenal people. Those of you who have watched old archived episodes, there's always nuggets in there, things that I take from it. Like when I'm done with these interviews, I'm pumped. I'm ready for life. I'm learning. I'm growing, because that's what it's about. Stories are what connects us. They're what helps us grow. They're what helps us make us feel human. So today I'm so excited. My guest today, his name is Cornelius Kirk. We're going to call him CK, right?
Yes, that's great.
Okay, yeah, okay. So he's going to go by CK. I came across CK on Instagram, right? And he's very active on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle, by the way?
Just Cornelius_Kirk.
Okay.
Or Mr. Whatever. Or you can find it, whatever it takes to pull it up.
Right. So we're going to put it in the comments. But follow him on Instagram and on Facebook as well. But I saw him on Instagram, and he just has really great content that he pumps out every day. A lot of content, encouragement. He's just a very positive guy who does a lot of great things. So we're going to jump right into it, CK. So go ahead and just introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, any other relevant information you want to share with us.
Absolutely. So thanks, Amy. Pretty much, she said everything. My name is Cornelius Kirk. I'm from Michigan. I currently reside in Raleigh. And simply put, my goal, my mission, my purpose is to improve the lives of people who don't believe in themselves. That, for me, that fills me up every day. And that's my goal. It's that simple.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. So as with all of my interviews, we focus primarily on one pivotal moment in your life. Obviously, we can pick thousands because in the span of our lifetime, so many things happen that are pivotal. But today, I want you to focus on one thing in your life that has happened that changed the trajectory, the course of your life, that maybe changed your mindset or the path that you thought you were going to take. So before you actually get to that pivotal moment, set us up. What's going on before this moment? Who are you? What's happening? And then jump right into that pivotal moment for us.
Sure. If you don't mind, I'm going to start way back so I can set it up. But
yeah,
absolutely. So again, born and raised in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Had my first child at 19. So I don't think that's the age we should be having kids, but that's the age I had my first son. So in that, I became a dad. And at the time, I was a basketball player. I wanted to go to college and play basketball, but son first, there goes that dream. Lived in Kalamazoo for another, I think, 10 years. I actually got a job. I was working in a bakery. That's what I had to do. I was making all the bread, and I found a job in sales. So I have been in sales ever since, mostly sales leadership. But in that, I moved to Saginaw, Michigan. So I lived in Saginaw, Michigan. I bought my first home. I bought my new cars. I had 4 kids, everything. I got married. I have 4 kids. So I have 3 daughters also. But what I'll say to that is I thought that was my path. I was going to live there, build my life. My kids were going to go to college and on and on and on. But something happened. And what happened is the Kalamazoo Promise came out. And most people don't know what that is. But if you live in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and you complete high school, you can go to college for free. Okay. So you can get 4 years. Well, I'm doing the math. I have 4 kids. I say, wow, that's going to save me a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I make a plan, and we moved back to Kalamazoo, Michigan because of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So set that up. My son gets back into school. My son at the time was in 6th grade, and he wasn't the best student. My son is, if you call me a outside thinker, he is 10 times worse. Like, there's no box for him. There's no box. So
Right.
here I am in Kalamazoo, Michigan, living. My son, I put him in schools. He's not doing well. He can't make the transition to the schools he's in. He's in 8th grade. So at the time, we put him in private school, a Christian private school. Even worse. So this is the setup for how he gets in 10th grade. He's actually a star basketball player. He can really play basketball. Yeah. But if you notice, you have to have grades and basketball. Mm-hmm. He couldn't get the grades. You know, we made all these moves trying to help him. And in the end, the pivotal moment sets up where he's hanging around bad kids. We transfer from schools again, trying to get him in the right environment. And it's deemed that he can't play. He can't play. The moment he has all A's at the time too, which is amazing. And the moment, the day they came and said, Josh, you can't play basketball this year, he gave up. Yeah. And so I remember that being a pivotal moment because he lost all hope. And I use that story today because I saw it with my own eyes from a person that's at a level 10 go to a level 0 in the moment in a moment.
Yeah.
So absolutely. That's the pivotal moment set up.
Okay. So take us to the pivotal moment. I'm like on the edge of my seat. So he can't play basketball anymore. He loses all hope. As a dad in that moment, how do you handle that? Like knowing that there's a level of like personal responsibility and a growth moment for your son, but at the same time wanting to protect your son from it. How do you handle that as a dad?
Well, as a parent, you know that we have to advocate for our kids. And so obviously I went to school and tried to advocate and get them back on track, but it wasn't going to be. Okay. It went as high as the state level. And they said no, because he transferred mid-season and you can't do that. Yeah. As a parent, I'm not going to say I'm a control freak because I'm not anymore. But at the time I was, because I thought I could fix anything. And this was a situation I could not fix. So I lost, as a man, I lost a lot because I saw my son sink into a place that I couldn't fix.
Yeah. That's powerful. So then what happens after that? After you can't fix it, your son can't play basketball anymore, what comes next?
So as I stated earlier, he gave up. And his friends at this time are all basketball players. They're all from great families. They're all doing good things. They're going to win state championships. They're going to go to college. These are this set of kids. So the moment he gave up from that situation, he goes to a different set of friends that are doing the things that we don't do at that age. And so they're smoking, they're drinking, girls, they're doing things that students aren't, some students are doing, but for the most part, people who want to be successful are not doing. And so I watched him start hanging with these kids. They're gambling at school. He's getting suspended. I'm getting called at work every day to go pick him up. So in this, we're in a place where, remember, I have 3 daughters I'm dealing with too, and they're doing well in school. So you got one situation where they're doing amazing, and here he is doing. So I'm holding on to them, making sure they're okay, but I still got to focus on him. And there's a quote that I heard that parents can't be more happy than their most unhappy child.
Oh, wow.
And so that's always stuck with me, and I was always focusing on him. And the funny part, there's a shift that goes on with my daughters because they're saying, hey, Dad, what about us?
Right.
And I wasn't able to be the dad I needed to be for them because I was so worried about advocating for my son. Mm-hmm. So we go back and forth as a family. We go back and forth. And I'm going to say this before I get to this pivotal moment of where we snatch him out of his environment, the city we were living in, and move to the current city we're in. I didn't want to go. I had to be pushed like that baby bird that's pushed out of the nest. Because here's the thing. I didn't want to go because I had a life where I was. I had a job. I was doing well. I was part of my church. I was a deacon at my church. I was teaching kids. I was teaching adults, and I was doing well. And so I was in a comfort. I didn't want to change. So that's a whole nother part of the situation. But I knew that for a fact that what would happen is he would be dead or in jail. And I didn't want that for my oldest son, my son. So he just made. And one day I told him, I said, hey, I told him over and over and over, if you don't change, we're going to move. And he's looking at me like, Dad, you're not going to move. You got all this stuff going on. There's no way you're going to give that up for me. So there's one day we're sitting in the kitchen, we're all talking, and everybody's like, you got to go. And I'm going, no, I'm not moving 1,500 miles. I didn't have a lot of money at the time. So family of 6, not making a ton of money, doing okay, but I didn't have a lot of money saved. And we know that for that resource, you need that. So that was a fear that I had too. Not only that, the unknown of moving, 8, 9 states away from where I lived.
Yeah.
So
how did you pick where you were going to move? Like, where did this come about?
And this is huge. I feel like I Googled it. I just Googled best cities to live in.
Okay.
And the top 5 cities came up. Number 1 was Austin. Charlotte was in the mix. And then there was Raleigh. Where I'm from, Kalamazoo, there's 80,000 people. So to be honest, I've never lived in a city where there's 1 million people. I'm scared.
Yeah.
Austin's too far. Charlotte's too big. Raleigh was just right.
Okay.
So that's the city that we picked.
Okay. So people are trying to push you. What ends up being the thing that makes you say, okay, I'll go?
I think it was just, I knew it was the right thing. Yeah. In my heart of heart, I was being selfish because I was worrying about what was best for me at the time. And as a parent, we know that the thing you have to do is you really have to put your kids first.
Yeah.
If you don't, they won't be successful. So I knew it was the right thing to do. I was letting my fear control me, and I got over it. So
yeah. So you pack up your things, you pack up your life, you move to Raleigh.
So I gotta stop you there.
Okay.
I gotta stop you there, and this is where here's the thing. So I have a 2002 gray Tahoe. If you know a Tahoe, there's 2 rows of seats plus a row of storage, so you can see your trunk. Okay, my son's very smart. He's very smart, and he looks at life he looks at things. So this morning we wake up, and this is the next morning after we sit in the kitchen. We wake up and he's like, "Dad, let's go. I need you to take me to school." School's probably 2 miles away.
Yeah.
We're driving. He's the same kid. He's going to school to do the same things. I can see it. His energy's bad. And so we're driving, and he's like, "Dad, you just passed the school." And I said, "Yes, I need to go pick up a check first, and then I'll swing back and drop you off." And he's like, "Okay." He knows I'm not a liar, so he believes me. We keep driving for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And he's like, "Dad, where are you going?" I said, "Josh, we just got a little bit further to go, and I can pick up the check." At this point, we get on a highway, which is Highway 94, right?
Yeah.
And we drive another 7, 8 minutes. And this is what he does. This is how smart he is. He leans, I'm driving. He leans over and looks in the back of the car. And the reason he looked in the back of the car was because I didn't pack anything. And so there's no way my dad's going to move to North Carolina without anything. And that's exactly what we did. I didn't pack anything. So.
Wow. So you took your whole family? Your whole family moved?
No. So they stayed back.
Okay.
4 months, and then they end up joining later, but just me and him. Because really, to be honest, I don't think I could have done it. I really don't think I could have done it if I could take my daughters, because their fear would have been different. I don't think I could have held that much together.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Wow. So you get, I'm blown away at the amount of sacrifice that you made for your son, which I guess you have to be a parent to understand that. But like the fact that you literally put aside everything in your life just for your son, that's a very powerful concept. And I don't know that every parent has. Do you feel like that's like something that parents are innately gifted with when they have kids, or is that just like it's characterized with just different types of parents that would be willing to put everything aside and say, my son's not doing well, I'm going to do everything it takes, even if that means putting aside my own happiness, my own success, my own plans, and moving to a place that I don't know anyone. I
don't think you can say one size fits all. So I'm not going to say every parent would do that. I've seen most not do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no right or wrong way, but I was raised by a single mom. I watched her sacrifice for her whole, she's still doing it. She's still doing it. Yeah. So that example was in me. I lived with my grandmother for years. I watched her sacrifice for everybody. So it was just who I was. I didn't know that I would need those traits later, but I end up needing them at this time.
Yeah. So you get to Raleigh with your son. And what's the first year like? Take us through that first year of transition.
Sure. So let me tell you about the highway story. We're driving the highway. He's flipping out because his fear jumped in too. He's leaving everything he knows. He doesn't believe, but now he knows I'm serious. So it's a 13-hour drive. Then we just start talking about life. We arrive in Raleigh. Again, we don't have any luggage. I don't even have a toothbrush. Yeah. So, those things were sent to us later, but it was probably 3 or 4 days before, it might have been up to a week before we got our stuff. So, we went to Walmart, got a few things, but the first year was difficult because I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
Let's start there. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know one person in Raleigh, not one. And that's unsettling when you go from a city where everywhere I went, whether I went to a corner store or to wherever I went, I knew people. And there's a comfortability in that. And my family was there. So if I wasn't having a good day, I could always fall back on them. The first year was difficult. So we got here and we stayed in a hotel for several months. Mm-hmm. And when I say hotel, I'm talking about the kind that don't have hallways. I'm not talking about the Renaissance. I'm talking about a Motel 6. We'll keep the lights on. And a lot of times they don't keep the lights on always. But we stayed in that kind of motel. I think it was less than $50. And if you think about those kinds of rooms, it's just 2 beds.
Yeah.
And that's where we slept for a couple months. I had to find a job. And again, my background was in sales leadership. But the company that I was going to apply for, they move very slow when it comes to hiring. So I needed money now. I think I left with $1,000 cash. And well, if you know a Tahoe, back at this time, it was 2009, the gas was $4 a gallon.
Yeah.
So I think I spent $400 driving here. So here I am with $600.
Yeah.
No job, no savings. That's it. We jump into the hotel. I pay for a week. That's $300. So I got $300, no job. So the next day I go to a Labor Ready. I'm not sure if you know what a Labor Ready is. It's a temporary agency. You have to show up there every morning at 5 a.m. with the hope of getting a job for that day. And if you do, you go work and then they'll pay you at the end of the shift. Mm-hmm. So typically I would do that every day and they would take you and send you all these different places. So again, I'm being stretched every day. Remember, I don't have clothes. So I had to go to the Goodwill and buy clothes for both of us because I had to enroll him in school, which is a whole nother story. We'll get to that. But that's the shift for that first couple of months. I'm working in a mall. I'm using a jackhammer to bust up floors and open up new stores. The next day, I'm at a country club serving a wedding party or mopping or doing all these things. Typically, I'd probably make about $70 a day. The hotel was $50. So I was left with about $20. I did have some family support from back home. They were sending me a little bit. I won't act like it was just me, but I had a great family support. But still, that was the narrative at the time.
Yeah.
Eventually, we went from a hotel to we rented a room in somebody's house because it was a little bit better. But it was a small bedroom. They had a full-size bed and a chair, like a chair that you can recline in. And that was it in that room, washer and dryer. But we did that for about a month and a half. And then my family came down. We got an apartment. But my son's sleeping in that bed. I'm sleeping in that chair for a month and a half. I'm not sleeping with my son in a full-size bed. So maybe once a week he'd go somewhere and I could sleep in the bed. So, that was the first couple of months. Eventually, I enrolled him in school, of which he really wouldn't go. He ended up going to a Macy's, stealing clothes because he didn't have anything. So again, remember, he's 16. He's not comfortable. He's not going to go to school wearing Goodwill clothes. That's not what he's used to. And so all of these things are starting to happen. Eventually, my family came down. We rented an apartment, but we slept on the floor in the apartment for maybe a month before we kind of got up and running. Mm-hmm. And so that was a lot of about the first year.
So while your son was in school, was there an improvement or was it worse? Like, how was he doing in school?
No, he didn't go. Like he'd go and then he'd come home. He skipped school. He wasn't going. Pretty much, he wasn't going.
Yeah. So from your perspective, you're going there to help your son, right? So you're making all these sacrifices. Life is not easy. And then your son's not going to school. You're finding out that he's not going to school. What is this doing to you mentally? Like, are you getting exhausted? Are you regretting your decision? Like, what's going on with you mentally?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Again, remember, my family's not here yet. So I'm worrying about them back home. You know, they're in good hands. They're good. But still, as a dad, that's what I'm used to. I'm still struggling with being ripped away from my church family, of which I was teaching and building all these kids, all these adults. And so I got that part going on. Now I'm starting a new job down here, of which is new. And we know that can be hard and foreign to most people. So I probably got 4 or 5 plates that I'm trying to hold up. It was difficult. I regretted it sometime. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was resentful sometimes. I mean, all the human emotions that anybody would have in this kind of life change, I have for sure.
Yeah. I always find, and this will lead into my next question, but I always find that like anytime you take a big risk, right? It's like when you're starting, it's difficult. There's more times than not where you're doubting yourself and thinking, should I have even done this? Like, was this, I probably made the wrong decision, especially if you have a lot of people talking in your ear before you do it saying, what are you doing? You shouldn't do this. And like any sort of transition, like the beginning of it, it's almost like a restarting, like you're getting momentum. So it's difficult and like, so knowing that, what keeps you going? What keeps you saying, yes, I'm sleeping on this chair. Yes, I'm buying clothes from the Goodwill. Yes, I'm making $70 a day. But like, what puts you on the other side of your current physical conditions to say, I know it's going to get better? Like, what pushes you?
I'm going to go back to my mom. She had me when she was 16. So I watched her. She's short too. She's like 4'11", so she's a little lady. But yeah. I watched her raise me and my brother, and she never quit. Like I can remember like her. I remember her just being. She's a fighter. Like she just didn't quit. She didn't make a lot of money. I'm like, man, how did you raise 2 kids by yourself? And she had husbands later, but like she did it by herself. And so that resilience that she showed, I didn't know it at the time, but it was in me.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to let her down. And that's still something I go about today. I'm not going to hurt my mom. I'm not going to let her down. But I have my son. He's right there. And his future, I see his future. And I knew if we went back, he would be right back into the same environment. And so I couldn't quit. I couldn't.
Yeah. So you're pushing for him and for you at the same time. What was the future that you saw for your son? What future were you pushing for your son?
I'm not a big person with my kids. I've never told them what I feel like they should do with their lives. I don't think I have that right. I think as a parent, I support them. I ask questions. They may unlock something in them, but I've never told them, hey, go be a doctor or a lawyer or a dentist or whatever it is. I just tell them whatever you want to do, make sure you put time into the decision.
Yeah.
So for him, I just wanted him to be a healthy, happy adult.
Yeah.
And that was it. And
that
was my vision.
Yeah. So the first year's over, your family's there, you have a job now. When do things kind of start shifting more in your favor? Or do you find yourself still having more difficulties after that?
It's still difficult because, again, you're still trying to build a life where you don't know people. Right. And so, you may join a church, or most of my friends have always come from basketball. So I started to play basketball as soon as we got down here. And so those people became my friends. But it's a big difference between the friends you grew up with and new friends sometimes. So there's times where I can go back home right now. I was just home, and my friends I grew up with, it's like I never left. A conversation, we just jumped right back into it. That first that year after, it was difficult still because you're trying to build in a place you're foreign to. But at the same time, I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah. So when do things start shifting? When do you find yourself finding momentum at this new spot?
It took about 8 years.
Wow.
To be honest, it took. And here's how I want to set that up. You're raising a family. Anybody who's raising a family, especially at four kids, you become pretty much nothing. If you, and they're all close in age. So it's one after another. They're doing all their school things. You're going to their conferences. You're working full time. You don't have a lot of time for self. Yeah. And so that wasn't important to me at the time. I wasn't mentoring. I wasn't volunteering. I wasn't doing the things I've now become because, to be honest, I didn't have the time.
Right.
So
where did you get a job at? Like where did you find employment?
It was funny, but when I left Kalamazoo, a guy I was friends with at my old job, he said, you should go work for Rooms to Go, right? Not because I was leaving. We weren't even talking about me moving. We were talking about how good of a company it was once. And it was like a whisper that was later a yell when I got down here. It was, I look at those little things. Him saying that was like, it was setting me up later to go here. So I went there and applied. But as I said earlier, their process of hiring is very slow.
Okay.
Which is great because I had to work at that temp agency, which changed my view of what you might have to go through to make a shift in your life. You're gonna have to do things you don't want to do. Most of the time, you're not gonna have a lot of money, but you gotta do it anyway. You may not have support from family, but you gotta do it anyway. So I'm thankful for that little time where I had to do that temporary work.
Yeah, you said something really profound. So, what sort of things did you find yourself doing in the shift that you didn't, excuse me, that you didn't necessarily want to do or think you would have to do in that shifting period?
Are you talking once I'm past? Are you talking the 8 years, or are you talking before?
The 8 years. What were some things that you were doing that you were like, I don't want to do it, but I'm shifting and I understand that this is a part of it?
So again, as a dad, to be honest, you become accustomed to doing things. You're last. So it's your kids, it's your wife, it's your significant other, whatever you have, and then it's you. And so for me, my biggest thing was being able to work out in the morning, go play basketball, because that was the only thing that made me feel like I could be myself. But other than that, it was working. I worked a lot. I was in sales, and so I tried to build my life back up to a point where everybody was happy. We were all in one place, and that was it.
When did you have this moment of being on the other side of taking this risk and realizing that there's a lot of rewards that came with it? Like, when were you like, okay, this was a great move and I'm so glad I did it? Okay,
great. So back to my son. So he never did well. He never graduated from that high school. We put him in a new school, which is here's the thing. It was like $900 a month. So it was pretty much like having a nice size mortgage.
Yeah.
but it was something he needed. And he went there. They traveled. They played basketball. He met some great people. He ended up going to college and playing basketball. So at the time when he got to college is when I knew this was a decision that if I did not move, he would have never made it. There's no way.
Yeah. Where is he now? What's he doing now?
So he lives in Raleigh right now. He's actually back in Kalamazoo. He goes back to our hometown every summer. I bet you right now he's at the park, because he'll go to the park, our local park, and all these young kids come, and he trains them in basketball every day. So it's pretty cool that he does that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So, and about working at Rooms to Go, once you got the job at Rooms to Go, because it sounds like it was like you mentioned like a whisper. I feel like sometimes when things in our lives kind of fall into place, it's like it was meant for us. Did you find like this moment where you realized this was it? This is my spot. I was meant to be here.
So let me back up before that. So when I was in Kalamazoo and I was working for my church, again, I was asked to be a deacon, which is a servant of the pastor, pretty much, in the congregation. Now, at the time, I'm not ready. In my spirit, I'm like, what do you mean? Why are you asking me? But I've been consistent. I have been serving already. And I think the pastor saw that and saw something in me that I didn't see. Well, in doing that, he changed my life, because I was afraid. Let me say it one more time. Definitely afraid of public speaking. Yeah. Well, to do that, you had to go up and pray in front of the whole church. Yeah. I was teaching classes. So he unearthed that fear for me, and it changed my life. Then I get to Rooms to Go. And again, in sales, people are coming in, you don't know them, so you have to go up and greet them. So over and over, rejection's happening to me in a way that now I use it as power, where it used to be a weakness. Yeah. I stayed there for 5 years. I'm a leader. That is who I am. I can't do anything else. But in that 5-year period, I never went into management because of all the things that were going on, and I just couldn't take it on. Yeah. Eventually, I went into management, ran the same store. It's pretty cool. I was a salesperson there. I was a senior salesperson there. I was an assistant manager there, and I becoming the store leader in that same building, and that's unheard of. And I did it in record time once I made my mind up that I wanted to be a leader.
Yeah.
So I knew at that point too. That's another thing. That's when I knew for a fact that I had made the right choice.
Yeah. So what brings you here with the passion that you have now with inspiring people and putting out content and writing, just all the things that you're doing? How do you get here?
You know, I think the main thing was I never forget how I felt. Okay. So I did not feel good in all these situations. And to be honest, I had a good support system. I read a lot. I have a lot going on with my mind. I really focus on my mindset. A lot of people don't. And so I know there's people out there in this world struggling with these same things in silence. And I get messages all the time, like DMs, just a random, like, hey, what you said. I'm like, huh? I wasn't even, and it's helping people. And that drives me like I can't sleep almost, because I know there's somebody hurting. And if I be positive and I can show them who I am as a person, it may unlock something in them. And to me, that's a calling. It's accountable. And I'm responsible for that almost now. That's what I'm going to do with my life.
When did you start that? Like, when did you start posting and really being present with sharing your journey online?
Sure. So I'm working at Rooms to Go. I'm a store leader there. And every morning we have a meeting. And I started to kind of act out in the meeting because I saw what people needed. They're in sales. It's all about mindset, psychology of mind. And so I always brought a high level of energy. And then I started talking about doing whatever it takes. Very random, just like talking about it. And I was like, wow, this is working. They really believe in this. They kept saying it every day. And so then I started printing out shirts, and I pretty much just kind of, I won't say it like this, but I kind of killed the old guy. Like, I went from being Cornelius to Mr. Whatever It Takes. Now it's funny, no matter where I go, people never call me my name anymore. They say, hey, what's up, Mr. Whatever It Takes? So that's where it started.
Yeah. How long ago was that when you established yourself as Mr. Whatever It Takes?
2017.
Yeah. So how do you resonate with that phrase? Like, how does that phrase like connect to you?
So humans, I think our brain is set up to protect us, and we live in that protection, that comfort zone. And I study a lot. I study really successful people, and most of them come from really bad backgrounds, but they started to do whatever it takes. And you'll hear a lot of them say that, but it kind of resonated with me where, wait a minute, life's not going to be handed to me. Yeah. I have to do whatever it takes every day, or, I might be successful. And if I stop, I go back to being unsuccessful. So I started using that, and now it drives me every day, even when I don't feel like, because we all have those moments or those days where we don't feel like it. And then, like I say, when people said to me, well, I thought you were going to do it. My kids say it, Dad, I thought you were going to do whatever it takes. And it's like a snapback.
Yeah. So from your risk, that whole journey of taking the risk, and on the other side of that, what do you feel like is one of your major takeaways, like a main thing that you learned through that whole ordeal?
For me, I think that, first of all, I think people should move every 5 years. Every 5 years, if you own a house, you should go sell it and move to a different city and do it again over and over, because it stretches you.
Really?
So, yeah, but I mean, you could travel and get that and get a moment of that stretch.
Uh-huh.
But what happens to you when you change like that? And we know life's always changing, but some of us get stuck in being in the same neighborhoods, same routines. I won't even drive the same way to work every day. Like, I'm driving a different way every day just to stay out of a routine. But I think that's what it taught me most, is that there's more out there. There's more life. There's more people, and I want to meet them. Like, I want to see them, and I want,
Yeah. Do you feel like had you stayed in Kalamazoo, that you would have grown the way that you've grown right now? Do you feel like that would have?
Absolutely not. I'm going to cut you off. No. No. If I post pictures sometimes of how first of all, and I didn't know it, but I was overweight.
Yeah.
I weighed like 245 pounds at the time. I'm down to like 190 now. Kalamazoo it snows 8-9 months a year. So you're not outside. You're not getting sun. You're not working out. When you move to Raleigh, it's hot 8 or 9 months a year. Yeah. People have pretty good shapes. And so I might have been body shamed just from seeing everybody in shape and say, wait a minute, I'm not going to look like this and you guys look like this. So,
yeah.
Okay. No, I wouldn't. No way do I change. Absolutely not.
Right. Okay, so I always end the interview with I want you to talk directly to whoever's watching via live or replay, but talk specifically to people who perhaps are on a they are in need of a transition. They are in need of taking a risk. Maybe they've even thought about it, like, oh yeah, I should, but it's a big risk. You know, almost like you having to be pushed out of the nest. What's one thing that you can say to them to encourage them or to give them some form of advice?
So the main thing, I just heard this, and it's always right on time, is that we weren't born with fear. We learned it. Fear was given to us, and so now we own fear, but we can give it back. We can, anything you learn, you can unlearn. So, you may fail. You're probably going to fail. Anything big, typically you're going to fail, but you're worth too much. One of my pillars, and I go by Mr. Whatever It Takes, but I have three others, and that is you have one life. It's one life. The other one is follow your process, and the last one is how blessed we are every day. But you only get one life, and there's no way I'm going to sit here and play small, and there's no way that you should play small. You know what? You may fail. It may not work, and then you just start over and you figure it out. But for me, I believe that life is too valuable to play small or to settle. And so, find a good community of people who encourage you, but like whatever you want to do in your one life, you probably should go do it, because time doesn't stop for anybody. It's ticking right now. And I'm promising you this, everybody that is successful that you look at as role models probably had less resources than you currently do. They didn't let fear suffocate them. And so I encourage you to go after what you want in your life. There's people that are, I use this, there's people that are looking at my story and taking power from it. And I think about that every day. How many people, because of my choices, because of the way I eat, because of the way I spend my time, will do better? That really, for me, that drives me as a person.
Yeah, I love that. So before we leave, how can people get in contact with you? And how do they buy your merch? Because I know you have T-shirts that you sell and such. So how do they get more of CK?
Sure. Now, I have shirts on my social media. I'll say this: I wear them every day. I'm not ever going anywhere because I'm a brand. Yeah. As so are you. We're all brands.
Yeah.
Different kind of brands. But I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, and I'm just finalizing my YouTube page. I'm gonna start jumping on there and doing that too. So those are the three ways currently. Please DM me if you ever need to be uplifted. I promise you'll never see anything posted on my page that's negative, because I don't believe in it. Does it mean I'm not negative sometimes? Absolutely. I'm never going to let it suffocate me, though.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, and also I'll be putting the your handles in the comments. So make sure that you reach out to CK. Make sure that you follow him on Instagram. He is such a powerful, positive force. He has a lot of great stuff to say. I know just from watching your stuff, I've been encouraged. So, and that's awesome. So thank you so much for sharing your story, your journey, your vulnerability. We appreciate it. And thank you for your extraordinary story.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you on Wednesday for another Extraordinary Stories with Extraordinary People. Have a wonderful